Right, this is Sierra Leone Decides 2023, and Sierra Leone's date with destiny has been set. Now, the recent ban on political rallies has sparked a debate amongst citizens and political analysts alike. While some believe that the ban is necessary to prevent the spread of violence, others argue that it will have a significant impact on the upcoming elections. One of the primary arguments in favor of the ban is that it is crucial for the safety of the people. Political rallies can be a breeding ground for the spread of tensions and violent incidents, as large crowds gather in close proximity to each other. However, the timing of the ban has been a point of contention. The ban was announced just about 84 days before the elections, causing confusion and chaos amongst politicians and voters alike. Political rallies are an essential part of any election campaign, and candidates use them to connect with voters. With the ban in place, candidates will have to rely on other means to reach out to voters. Despite the challenges, the ban could be an opportunity for candidates to get creative. They can use social media and other digital platforms to connect with voters, which could level the playing field for candidates with fewer financial resources. This could lead to more diverse and innovative election campaigns as candidates explore new ways to reach voters. Enforcing the ban will be a challenge, especially in areas with a large population like Freetown. However, it is crucial for the government to ensure that the ban is being enforced fairly. There have been reports of abuse of power of incumbency. The ban on political rallies is a necessary step to prevent the chaos and violent incidents. While it will have an impact on the upcoming elections, it could also lead to more innovative and diverse election campaigns. It is now up to the Political Parties Regulation Commission, PPRC, to enforce the ban effectively and ensure that it is being followed by everyone, regardless of their political affiliations. Tonight, we are looking at the implications of the ban on political parties and the political and electoral culture of Sierra Leone. My name is Samuel Wise-Bangura, and this is AYV on Sunday. All right, good evening and a very warm welcome to AYV on Sunday here on AYV Television on Channel 33, on DSTV Channel 399, on Radio FM 101.3, and on all our different social media handles, especially on the AYV News Facebook page. Just drop your comments, drop your questions. We would find time to go through some of them in the show, but please do tailor them to the issues being discussed here tonight. As always, I bring people who are in touch with whatever conversation we are putting up. And tonight on my panel, I have Reverend Jibril Akagbo, the Director of Communications at the National Commission for Democracy. Reverend, good evening and welcome to AYV on Sunday. Right, I have Ali Conte, a member of the Publicity Committee of the Opposition All People's Congress Party, who is here replacing Sidi Yaya Chimisali. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, my brother. Thanks for having me.
Right, I have a member from the Public Relations Office of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Salu Gomulago, who is also here representing the National Publicity Secretary, Lahai Lawrence Lima. Good evening, Salu.
Good evening, Samuel. Good evening, listeners.
All right, Lucien Momo from the Political Parties Regulation Commission is yet to join the conversation, but we're moving on. And let's just have an understanding, first off, Reverend. I'm going to start off with you. I mean, if you're to put into perspective how significant has political rallies been over time in the political culture of Sierra Leone, how would you paint that for us?
Very interesting. If you ask me to paint a picture about political rallies in Sierra Leone, they've not been productive. They've not been useful at all in terms of actually getting campaign messages to the people. Because what we see for most of the time is our compatriots in drunken stupor dancing through the streets of Freetown and other big cities in the country. So if you ask me in terms of its contribution to, let's even say, a democracy, honestly, I don't think I have seen much of it, apart from using such rallies to massage the ego of politicians and manipulating the will of the people. For us at NCD, Samuel, let me put it this way. This campaign did not start now. During the 2018 elections,
the campaign to end political rallies?
Yes, to look for alternative means to political rallies, especially in the way we've been practicing in Sierra Leone.
Right.
In 2018, I was on podium and saying that politicians should treat the citizens of Sierra Leone in a manner that is far better or proper than to ask me to jump to the streets. Whatever ideas you have in terms of winning my vote, take me to a designated place or come knock on my door, as it is done in other places. Buy your time. Come to a studio like this or contact the communication companies and make a call. Then I know that you have regard for me. But for me to leave whatever busy schedule I have and to jump behind a politician, the question I ask myself, in Sierra Leone, what have our politicians actually done for us to warrant us jumping into the street and dancing in some drunken stupor when we know that around such rallies, we see the display of outright lawlessness? It does not matter which political party we are talking about. That has always happened. We see people actually taking substances that are banned, drugs and alcohol, in the open. We also see violence being traded for hate speech. That is just part of the game. So let's talk about contributing to the democratic culture. Honestly, for me, it does not make any sense.
Let me ask a question. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at democratization and elections. We've seen over time where one of the key features of elections is participation.
Definitely.
And so many are saying this is how the ordinary citizens have been participating in the political arena.
How profitable is that? When, for most of the time, when our brothers take to the street in the name of political rallies, meaningful businesses are going to close for that day, which means a reduction in whatever revenue government will get. And anybody who is actually a sober businessman will not attempt to open his shop or a shop on that particular day. And we know what that will cost the country. And honestly, Samuel, I'm asking our politicians to think twice and look for, like, in the introduction, you were talking about innovative ways to get the people involved and to woo them in terms of getting their support. Let's avoid the situation that we've been experiencing as a nation.
How about that personal connection? The politicians and the people. When at rallies, you see they're going to wave to the people, they're going to shake hands and all of that.
Samuel, what has that brought us over the years since 1961 as an independent nation? That is what we've been doing. Until date, the people are still crying. Let the politicians know that when they learn to treat us with respect, then we know they are serious in meeting the needs of the people. Year in, year out, one electoral cycle after the other, whether it is this party that is in power or the other party that's in power, it's the same story, the same narrative. But has anything changed in terms of the welfare of the people? Samuel, let's look at the social and economic challenges that we experience as a country. Why would I, in my right senses, actually jump behind a politician to dance in the streets? If you are serious about getting a social contract with me, come to my residence or take me to a designated place where I'm not going to disturb the peace of other people. Because, for most of the time, I think we misunderstand what democracy is. I have the right to just do whatever I feel like doing. What about the rights of others? Your right to swing your hand can go as far as where the nose of the next person begins. So if the right to swing your hand goes beyond that particular point, then you have not exercised your rights properly. You've actually infringed on the rights of another person. And when we talk about rights, they should actually go with responsibilities.
Right. We'll come to look at the details. Let me hear the precursory remark from Ali Conte. What does the APC make of these developments in the political space, especially when we have barely 84 days to the polls in June?
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, the APC as a political party and a law-abiding political party has never subscribed to a short statement made by the PPRC.
I know you want the Sun logo to be seen, but I think our audience will love the cap too. You can put a cap on the table.
Thank you very much. Like I said, the APC has never subscribed to the statement made by the PPRC, and we are even shocked that the PPRC is presenting a case in this manner, saying that all political parties have agreed a ban on political rallies. In that meeting, the APC was represented by no less persons but the National Secretary General and Dr. Richard Conte, wherein, they presented a case, why should the PPRC, place a ban on political rallies, wherein if you go to the Public Elections Act of 2022, it is very clear, Section 48, that the National Electoral Commission, right, shall liaise with political parties after the consultation of these registered political parties. They will specify the time for campaign, political rallies, or meetings at a particular designation. But the question that the APC was able to ask is that if a particular place has been designated for meetings with our supporters or sympathizers, are these people coming from the same direction to attend those meetings? Do they stay at the same place? How do you expect them to work? Is the commission or the, so these are some of the questions that, rallies are always after you meet at a particular designation or a place where the messages of the political parties.
So are you saying the APC is against the decision?
Yes, of course.
You just mentioned
the blanket ban on political rallies. The APC is shocked to get that one. The APC opposed it during that meeting, and we are not in support of it.
So what's the convincing message did the APC give to the Political Parties Regulation Commission during that meeting as to why you are kicking against the ban on political rallies? If you take a look at Sierra Leone, we know how fragile our security and even the peace is by many, as arguments have been advanced by many peace experts, that our peace is very fragile. Sierra Leone is one of the 3 most fragile states in the region. So with that in mind, what really were you looking for? What were you submitting as convincing arguments why political rallies should go on as it has used to be over the
Honestly speaking, if you look at the police crime rates report for 2022, according to the police, there has been a drastic reduction in violence cases in this country, except otherwise, the reports are not that genuine. So for that, a short report to come from the Sierra Leone police, I think as Sierra Leone can hold elections rallies without any incidences of violence, right? Using this blanket condemnation of political rallies, it is really, really unfair, because if you look, the way and manner in which the current government is going about its activities, we have the president, and the president is the incumbent. They have the free will to go about, talking to people, wherein you see people gather or people moving from one direction to another. It gives advantage, undue advantage to the current government. Wow. What we are asking here is, let the regulations that the PPRC is putting in place should create a level playing field for us, the opposition political
Who do you think this ban would favor?
Honestly, it's the incumbents. How it will favor the incumbent? Let me just give a scenario. When the peace conference was called at Bintumani 3, right? As APC, we are not invited to participate in that particular program. But we saw during the course of that Bintumani peace conference, we saw impersonations, right, from SLPP party youth, impersonating the APC, putting on APC party t-shirt, right? Ascribing on their banners that this is APC political party, APC ghetto youth. For me then, as the Secretary General of the APC National Youth League, I've never registered such an organization, APC Ghetto Youth. The people on that video, I went to Aberdeen, saw the likes, I don't want to call the names here, but I know them. These are SLPP youth operatives. They impersonated the APC, right? Now the PPRC has decided to come up with laws. When the APC, after electing its flag bearer at McKinney recently, they decided to institute laws which can hold political parties responsible that here you should not play ABC and these songs in your political processions or rally. And the APC accepted that. Even fines were levied that if we happens during your procession or your political programs, if ABC and the PPRC happens to see you with some of these things, these are the punishment. And we saw where in the APC was unduly targeted, fined, and the APC accepted and paid this fine. What we are saying...
When you submitted, Ali, when you submitted that this ban only benefits the ruling party, the SLPP, how? Because the SLPP also would not be rallying. Because, the ban also targets the SLPP as a political party. So how would they benefit from this?
Let me say this one. As opposition parties, whenever you want to take, to the street with regards to carrying out your political activities, you'll be required by the Sierra Leone police to go for police clearance. And most at times when you go for this police clearance, they will not be granted. Right. But I'm asking whether some of these requests are also, being extended to the current government. What I'm seeing as I'm talking now, campaigns has not been declared by the National Electoral Commission. But we are seeing the current government going all over the place in the name of thank you tours, campaigning. And if the APC happens to do that, just as I'm speaking now, right, the candidate of the presidential candidate of the APC was supposed to come from, Port Loko to Freetown. We heard what happened. It was blocked, prevented. Then I was saying that if these particular actions could also be instituted against the current government, where the president is the fountain of honor, his commander-in-chief, whether if he wants to move with a number of vehicles from a particular direction to another, will go and ask for police clearance, wherein he is the commander-in-chief. What we are saying here, if these laws are to be implemented, way and manner in which the PPRC, was able to present is unfair to the APC. We never subscribe to some of these bans, consultations. They are just putting the cat before the horse. Just a few days back, they were saying that it was only 3 political parties that are qualified or that are functional to participate. How many of these political parties that were present in that meeting, that they say they consulted political parties that agreed? For us, the APC, our representation was no less a person, but the head of administration for the APC, Lawyer Lansana Doumbia Esquire, and Dr. Richard Conte, right? They opposed the way and manner in which the PPRC was to go about this particular ban. And they asked them that in the event, a politician or the party is supposed to have a particular program, let me say at the National Stadium, how do you expect them to take their supporters to the National Stadium? Do they have to come from the same direction? Do they stay in the same place? Implement, let's have rules. The PPRC has started that one, that if you are supposed to process, make sure you control your supporters. For me, what I'm hearing from other school of thought, that Rallies has created, you cannot, we are enjoying democracy.
So I want to ask, what have been the benefits of these political rallies over time?
These are form of publicity that are accepted. Even if you go to the the Electoral Commissions Act, it is very clear that political parties should, after the elections calendar has been agreed upon, they will publish this calendar, right? Wherein political parties will be given specific dates, and wherein they will go out there to canvass supporters. Mind you, some of these people that normally participate in these political rallies are already members. At times you do this publicity in order to attract members that are in between, the undecided voters. And let me tell you, when normally some of us participate in some of these rallies, I've been able to convince friends, if Ali can go to the street and rally with this particular political, I think, let me see how best I can pitch tent with these political parties. It has been very, very much beneficial. Looking at the political, not even Sierra Leone is not an exception. Go to the sub-region, right? We saw in Kenya, we saw in Nigeria, in elections, before elections. Rallies are part of the constitution.
All right, we'll come to look at how does the APC plan to engage the Political Parties Registration Commission to have a rethink. Let me bring in Salu from the SLPP. What's the position of the SLPP on the ban?
Thank you very much, Samuel. I think I would love to make a concern with respect to the subject matter.
What's the concern?
I know the topic you have or you coined is a ban on political rallies.
Right.
The implications on our electoral culture. So what is clear is we have to do justice to the listening audience. The ban is not ban on political rallies. The ban is a ban on street rallies. And this is the subject matter. We have to be very clear.
Yeah, go ahead. Just forget about it. Yes.
When we talk of rallies, these are gatherings. These are meetings where people are opportune to meet and drive a certain cause. It could be social, political, and whatnot. So Sierra Leone, of course, is a democratic state. And if we speak about the interest of the citizenry, we have to be very clear with respect to the provisions of our national laws. Specifically, the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act number 6, 1991, is very instructive. Chapter 5, Section 5, subsection 2B, says that the primary responsibility of government is to ensure peace, security, and maximize welfare of its citizenry or the people. Having this in mind, we equally have to relate this provision to Chapter 3 of the very Constitution.
Which says?
Which says the recognition and protection of fundamental human rights and freedoms of the individual.
Right.
What is clear there is not freedom for a specific group of people, political party, but freedoms of the individual. So this is the premise. Now, why did the PPRC?
First off, is the SLPP in support of the initiative?
The SLPP is an institution of compliance, which means we've always observed, we've always complied to the laws of the state.
So you were consulted and you agreed that this is what should...
Certainly. We are not an exception to the 17 political parties that were consulted. And the PPRC resolved on the basis of the views of these political parties.
You talk about state obligations of the government to protect its citizens.
Certainly.
Security, the peace and tranquility of the nation. But putting into context, the people who form the government are members of a group that is competing against another group. In this situation, the SLPP is in governance. And the SLPP is a political party that will compete or contest against the APC in the June 24th polls. So how would those thoughts, those views about having state obligations not being will not be abused or misused in the sense to favor the SLPP as a political party?
Thank you very much. Samuel, you see, electoral culture and our political systems are not rocket sciences. Like our laws, they are always subject to review. So it is political parties that run on their campaign messages with their appropriate candidates during elections. Once these political parties have voted, they in return form government, which is to relax the argument against incumbency. Let's not play the card that is because the SLPP is in governance, it will go the SLPP way.
That's what Ali just...
Matter of fact, yes, while he was making the submission, I was touched. You know, a number of us who are, you know, in our youthful age, we've admired, you know, we've really participated over time in these street rallies, right? Political rallies, of course, go beyond street rallies. There are other options.
How would other rallies take place when street rallies are banned? In the sense, if I am coming from my constituency and I'm a community mobilizer, I have to mobilize my people. And let's say we are to converge at the National Stadium. We have to go through the streets. we have to rally through the street. But if that is banned, then what is the way? How do we then converge?
Yes. What is the argument is, over time, there has been an abuse. There has been a misplacement of the intended purpose for street rallies. And to answer your question, I think Ali said PPRC in consultation with political parties, as well as security, we bring out guidelines. So they have to speak to that. By my knowledge around assembling supporters of political parties at a specific designation, we speak to fact that that is an appropriate platform for political leaders to speak to us, to bring messages to the electorate, for them to convince us. In fact, by extension, those gatherings, those platforms can be echoed through a medium like the AYV and the rest of us.
Why is the SLPP okay with this ban as a political party?
Yes, thank you very much, Samuel. The SLPP is okay with the ban on street rallies because, like I said earlier, we are a party of tolerance. Of course, we always comply to laws. Now, we make reference to our party constitution, 2020. The SLPP party constitution, of course, is guided by objectives, primarily Articles 5, 10, 11, and 12. And these provisions echoed national integration, unity, tolerance across divide, compliance to international protocols, promotion of patriotism, and to uphold national interest, individual freedoms, as well as the maximization of the well-being of Sierra Leoneans. If you examine this, it reconciles with the provisions of our Granum law, which is the Sierra Leone Constitution, 1991. Which is why, if we say these are our provisions, these are our guiding, rules and regulations, and PPRC, mind you, is an extension of government. It is provided for by the Constitution itself, Section 34 and 5 of the 1991 Constitution. And the PPRC Act itself, Act number 3 of 2002. These are all state laws. So we have to comply. This is why the SLPP, by extension, believes...
But the ban itself is not provided for in any law, correct?
Which is why I said electoral culture, which deals with our behavioral patterns, our attitude, our reactions to elections, generally, are not rocket sciences. It does not mean, or it does not make the argument that because we have been practicing them, meaning they cannot be reviewed. They are always subject, just like our laws. They are subject to review. We can re-examine them. In fact, I am of the opinion that countries that are very peaceful, countries that are, peace-loving nations, we get to learn from Sierra Leone. If you go to places like Egypt, during electoral periods, you are only going to know by way of seeing indication of posters, pictures of aspiring candidates. You don't see, semblance of these practices that Sierra Leone is still crippling with. You heard what Reverend said. This has not just happened spontaneously. He made a flashback to 2018. Institutions like the NCD, PPRC, all electoral, interested bodies, they've been condemning, the outright disregard to public safety, public order, and security. And of course, matter of fact, myself and Ali were here a couple of days ago discussing peace and national cohesion. So if we give credit to some of these minuses, it is equally saying we are subjecting our party interest to undermining the very foundational principles of democracy, the rule of law, human rights, and the rest of others.
All right. Gentlemen, continue to stay with me. Let's quickly join some Sierra Leoneans. By the way, we still look forward to receiving Lucy and Momo from the Political Parties Regulation Commission to give us the rationale behind the ban for us to really understand what's necessitated these, whether or not there are data, there is data that speaks to this based on evidence, based on some of the things that people have ascribed to political rallies. But let's join some Sierra Leoneans. As we went out, we sought the views of some Sierra Leoneans on what do they think of this ban, and they shared some of their thoughts with us.
Ban rally because rallies are part of election. So that day, I thought I could say we all for make fun, for mix. Then everybody not for the one side. Meaning, if we all lay SLPP, it's not go sweet. But if we certain people in the APC, then the other have to the SLPP, the other people in the SLPP. The fun, they interact, you understand? Make fun, crack fun, play and laugh. So like. If they say they ban rally, as for me, it don't make sense to me.
First of all, we born with rally. And rally, they will make people express their feeling, support their parties. But they can't ban rally now, I'm more strained to the citizens and country. Because someone ain't doing business, then someone ain't able to get everything they eat. So ban rally, as for which citizens, you will not go take care. And you are acceptable for some more acceptance for bandit Alisa.
Actually, the Dogus is along with any side of the world where they see the ban rally because of one reason or another of violence. Because I know see strategy from the PPRC put security, we are in any political party for go do the rally. Then the rally, we never foresee the collide with like the APC or another the SLPP. Because let's forget the timetable, we are in the APC rally today, then 2 days ahead, SLPP rally. I think then if things can say, but we thought for the sense of them, the fear of violence, but I'm not sure if we can even protect the violence because violence we see from that doors-to-doors campaign, then it also go equate again another violence.
We find for them ban them because whenever in the rally, confusion, thief, when people in shop, thief, die the commodity, wound, feds, so now that make it necessary for them ban them. Then they do host-to-host campaign.
Actually, I think my wise move from PPRC because if you look at the rally and look at the nature of the election coming, the final fit say yes, necessary for them ban the rally. To avoid unnecessary uprisings, then clash and misunderstandings, family violence, during the election, this 2020 election gets, I believe, safe and ban the rally for calm the atmosphere of the election.
Looking at the political, ways in which we don't go about with elections in the countries and then the political system of the country, I think rally don't be the best way wherein, politicians that they're able to mobilize voters there and then for able to talk to them and for convince them down coming up with this, new system of campaign or rallies we may not understand. And you look at other countries, I think so, even other countries or in advanced countries, they can always get rallies for election because it is part of electoral process. Electoral process not only mean for go begin the vote just for going to a police station and cast the vote. No. But even rallies, campaigns, they are also part of that. And me, I not buy the idea.
Well, I welcome the idea because I don't know what people that really dance for this country. The country needs to get serious thinkers because the problem with the Democrat and the political leaders, they're going to go on the rampage for just they try for let people they dance for them. What they dance for? When they will perform, I don't advise that they say, me, they don't want no dance for me. They don't want no sing for me because what you do, I don't perform it as a political leader. I will not see all the politics what they like this country. The dance will not take place. I don't know this day. That's the end of hardship. You people in the grumble, things that is escalate and market because when they send the people and say, well, let them all the level perform it. So I beg the people, this dancing, this political rallies, they don't exhaust and keep people in terms of nothing. Some man they grab my horse, they get for it, they go rally. I don't know what will happen with you. And we don't like this kind of dancing when they take place at the country. Because the political leaders, they're not a
since the democratic state today and people they need to participate in politics. And one way they can participate by rallying for them also the support. So I think that the right, basic human rights for do that. And I don't feel say it will be good for put a particular plan or something where the people in this rights.
Because I wonder, I never meet standing in my life. From what born, anytime there's an election, party they must rally. APC, SLPP, PMDC, but people party they will know. They must rally. So I wonder now why they agree this story. So it goes down to me.
Well, Pape, I'm not for ban this rally. Because this rally, when they rally, I don't who serve good in Spanish, who they survive. The party, the member, so great. Rally for the goal.
Rally for the goal.
All right, those are views from some Sierra Leoneans on the ban on political rallies by the Political Parties Regulation Commission. I still have Reverend Jubila Kabo from the National Commission for Democracy. I have Ali from the APC and Salu from the SLPP. Lucy and Momo from the PPRC is here to join us. But Reverend, let me ask this question. We are talking about the rights, fundamental rights of human rights of others, and those rights come with responsibilities. Now, do you think steps would be taken during the implementation of this ban not to infringe on the rights of the people, say the right to assembly, for example? How would that pan out?
The simple answer to that question is the regulations should be detailed enough to determine how people go about campaigns. Now, let's make a few clarifications here.
Go ahead.
Talking about, I don't even want to call it a ban on political rallies. It is actually regulating how parties go about campaigning. Because to campaign in elections, that is just the way to go. But what we've been saying since 2018, and I want the people of this country to pay attention to what I'm saying. Let's not appear as if it's only today that we started talking about it. We've been on it after we conducted our State of the Nation survey on democracy. We now, around that electoral cycle, went to radio stations and television stations to say, this thing is not working in the interest of anybody. Let's look for ways and means to ensure it's regulated. Now, let's also get this. What we've seen over the years, between especially the oldest parties in this country, is that when once it appears as if one is in support of one thing, the other will go against it. It has always happened. When APC was in power, whatever APC says, SLP will go against it. Now it's SLP in power, whatever it appears as if SLP is saying, APC will go against it. But let's people understand this. Even in this ban, SLPP is not 100% in support of it. Let's face that reality. They are not 100% in support of it.
The representative here is
I know he's here. He has spoken on was it on Thursday or which day last week? I was on television with Lima. That was the presentation. That they endorsed it with reservation. And it's always these two political parties. My appeal to our politicians from these two political parties is give us a break as citizens of this country. Some of us are fed up with the wrangling that is happening. We want to see where we build consensus on things that are progressive for this nation. It's not just, well, for the sake of opposition because I am doing this. And at the same time, we appeal to the incumbent to ensure that they are magnanimous in their victory to bring everybody on board so that we have the right direction that we are moving. But I bet you if powers are to change hands again, you will see the same thing playing out. And that is what we need to stop in this country.
Let me ask this question, looking on the positive side. I mean, going back by what one of the people we spoke to in that Vox Pop. It's very clear that on polling day, of course, we've had on rallies, we've had many stories that citizens are given money and given T-shirts to go and for that the young man there, for example, that's how they survive.
It's survivor.
So taking that away from them at this point.
That is something we need to stop. To let the politicians and the citizens of this country know that politics goes beyond just survival. When you come to ask me to give you the rights to rule over me, we are signing a social contract, which should imply that it's not just that the few cups of rice that you're going to give to me or the T-shirt you give to me around campaign period. It is about ensuring you fix the economy so that opportunities are created for everybody. When we begin to think in that direction, we call our politicians to order and ask them to be accountable. And that is why, for me, it's even insulting for a politician to ask me to leave whatever I'm doing and to go dance in the streets on his behalf, when you should come to me and tell me what plans you have to govern my country. And when, if in totality, or a significant number of Sierra Leoneans will now begin to tell politicians, you cannot give me packs of Total Park or other alcohol and ask me to go to the streets, and you call that political rally, it's actually what? Misusing or abusing my intelligence as a citizen of this country. Rather, you should create an atmosphere where I can talk to you face to face and ask you burning questions about what plans you have for the various sectors in this country. And there is one thing that we must not miss out in this campaign period. We must ask our politicians, what agenda do they have for the peace and unity of this country? What agenda do they have for political tolerance? These are things that we must face our politicians with, rather than talking about the ban or no ban on political rallies. But please, in advanced democracies, there are regulations on campaigns. It's not everything that you do.
Let me ask you this question, Reverend. Monumentally, Sierra Leone, I mean, the abject poverty is something we're about every now and then. Moments like political rallies, for the ordinary Mami Fatu or Momodu, where they dung the road, where they print both APC and SLPP people, they hang their back in enjoy because foreign are business, not too about politics. And you have Fatu, where they go na Guinea for go buy a shobi during this period. If it's an internet in business, they thrive. How would this ban affect people like that? Because people feel like, oh, every 5 years I have an opportunity. That at the end of the day, I know there will come a month or two that my business will thrive. I'll get these politicians because that's when things, maybe I will be able to save for some period and I survive.
Samuel, it is that thinking that is responsible for the way our politicians treat us. We create the fanfare around elections, and after that, I go about my business. You don't have rights to ask me any question. We must make our politicians accountable if we are to experience progress in this country. The street dancing, in fact, the business that you are talking about, it is actually not going to end. You can still sell your T-shirt of the different colors of the different political parties. You go to the town hall meetings, which are done in other countries, even if it's the community field. Have politicians consider this? Which will be more effective? On the day, let's say for instance, it's the day for APC or SLPP to campaign in a particular area. Instead of allowing people to exhaust themselves to dance from one end of the place to another, why not hold them in different meetings where it can be productive? You engage them in this small arrangement and you talk to them. You are able to woo them. Campaign, it's not time for just the laziness and the dancing. It's serious business. And the politicians and the people of this country should know that when we talk about campaigning to win my vote, it's not just fun, fear, or matter of survival. It's serious business about the governance of the country. When we get it wrong from that particular point, it's wrong all the way, because the politician will tell you, I actually paid for your vote. And so what are you going to ask? What question are you going to ask me? But if we hold them to account and we do not allow them to pay for our votes, when they are there to govern us, we can ask them all the critical questions, regardless of which political party is in power.
Ali,
Yeah.
I mean, we know during these rallies, that's when the razzmatazz, the fanfare, everything, that's when we get to see them. And also, over time, we've seen where that's the period APC and SLPP will come out and they say, we pull crowd past them. We pull crowd past,
Just
other
to
get crowd
massage
past
their
the
ego.
campaign and it treat.
Right.
But in essence, really, what does this rally, political rally or street rally, what does it give to the political parties in terms of a platform to espouse their policies on really what agenda should Sierra Leoneans vote them?
Yeah, honestly speaking, I hope or I wish the other public institutions, could be objective as Dr. Kagbo is saying here. And these the challenges that us political parties are having with established institutions that are supposed to regulate, the activities of politicians or political parties. If it happens to institute regulations, let these regulations be implemented squarely, giving a level playing field into political actors. To the point again with regards to these political rallies, honestly, my brother, the issue of political violence has nothing to do with public or state rallies. If your party is disciplined, your activities, your events will always be peaceful. But let's look at an instance. Recently, there was an SLPP activity.
But it's never been peaceful over time. All the reports we've been doing, political rallies, be it SLPP, be it APC, there have always been incidents of violence over time. We've always reported those things.
Yeah, well, honestly, the issue of violence amongst political street rallies will normally not to the vox pops from citizens is that, say, political rallies are part of campaigns. It enables the citizens to express their views. These views are some things that are the things that are prompting some of these unfair regulations. Is another whole debate, right? Because citizens expressing their views about government promising A, B, C, and D and failing to fulfill those promises, and you want to stop the people, citizens from expressing their dissatisfaction about the unfulfilled promises, then we have to look at it again. Then with regards to the topic under discussion, my brother, let the PPRC, the Political Parties Regulation Commission, the Electoral Commission, and even the Sierra Leone Police, whenever the rallies are to be held, especially state rallies, there are always a designated meeting point wherein the leaders of these political parties will meet, talk their political manifesto to their supporters, and also try to law. Other people that are seated on the fence. So when you happens to give the go ahead to political parties to rally, the Sierra Leone Police, they should designate the routes that should be used in order to allay the fear that Dr. Kagbo is talking about here, in order not to disturb other citizens that are going about their normal activities. This should be the role of the Sierra Leone Police. Designate the routes where this political party should use in order to allow other citizens to go about their normal activities.
But political parties,
yes,
whenever they're in opposition, when the SLPP was in opposition, they never trusted the Sierra Leone Police. Now, the APC has always expressed concerns around the police.
Yeah.
So, even when the Office of National Security made a decision to ban the use of marshals, that again created concerns by political parties. The APC was concerned that was not fair because the state cannot provide adequate security for opposition politicians. So why would you now depend on the Sierra Leone Police to provide adequate security for you when over time the allegation has been the Sierra Leone police sides with the party in governance?
You know, honestly, my brother, we are praise should be given. We always do that one. The APC, as a disciplined political parties, has held several gatherings of over hundreds of thousands of people. We are in no single incident of violence was reported. Right. So, like I was saying, the issue of political violence has nothing to do with public rallies. Like I was about to say, recently the SLPP was having a meeting or a political event at Moyamba. A journalist was almost beaten to death. Does that have to do anything with public political rallies? No. The APC was gathered at its party headquarters sometime in 2019. We are in, they were bulldozed by the Sierra Leone police. We are tear gas. Members, we have, brutality, was drop on us, because I was also at the party office then. Then recently also we saw the activities of...
I'm afraid, let me just hold you there quickly. We've been able to establish contact with the chairman of the Political Parties Regulation Commission, lawyer Abdullahi Bangura, to just give us a rationale behind the ban. Lawyer Bangura, good evening and welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Good evening, Samuel.
Now, please just take us briefly, what really initiated the ban on street rallies?
Well, that's on when they were having their street rallies. I mean, we were all in this country. We all witnessed what used to happen. Starting from all of the by-elections we had after 2018, the street rallies they had in those by-elections, they were marred with a lot of disturbances for the public, starting from Tonkolimba, some death ensued, coming to 2110, where our political opponents, Destin and property, were attacked, then going to Benadugu and Kono, where we had a lot of obscenities, and then lately Samaya Bendugu and Kwea. So because of the kind of things they were putting the public through when they come out with their supporters, the commission, we thought that we needed to have an evaluation of those street rallies. Are they really serving the purpose that they were meant to serve? Or in the alternative, they ceased to have their essence. They have now been transformed into some circus and some lawless platforms. So we put that question to all of the political parties. And we had PSOs as well present. The press was also there. And we took the precaution of inviting our development partner just to witness the proceedings. And the issue was discussed extensively. At the end of the day, there was a balancing act. We look at the rights they are claiming that will be abused, the freedom of association and assembly, and we look at the other rights of other people they were trampling upon when they come out with their supporters. And then we check the law. If you look at section 26(2), it is clearly stated there that when your rights of association and assembly is restricted in pursuance of the protection of the rights of other persons and in the interest of public safety, public peace, and public morale, that cannot be interpreted as a transgression. So all of us deliberated on those issues, and at the end of the day, there was a unanimous decision of all of the parties.
Including the APC?
Including the APC.
So quickly, let me ask this question. Now, if you're trying to justify the decision as one that does not in any way violate any provision, be it the Constitution or the National Elections Act or the Political Parties Regulation Commission, how would the ban on political rallies now, for many, would that not affect negatively the democratic process?
That would definitely not impact in any process. And in the first place, it is not me justifying the ban on the rallies. This is not an imposition. It was very consultative, and we had deliberations on that, and all of us came up with an agreement. So this is not the PPRC imposing anything on political parties. We put it to everybody that was there, and we discussed the issue extensively. And definitely, we have tried this before. As I was saying, when we had all of those affrays, Tonko Limba at constituency 110, even and Benadugu, we had to ban those rallies. and then ask that the political parties rally, in designated areas. So this was a conversation we had at Leone, and devoid of partisan sentiment and personal ambition. So it is not me justifying it.
All right.
I'm just reporting what happened.
Lawyer Bangura, what alternative methods of political campaigning are being considered to replace, these political rallies?
You now campaign in designated areas. And one thing also we agreed on, government should make available all state infrastructures that are fit for purpose, for the purposes of conducting their rallies, to every political party, evenly and at no cost. So, the decision that was reached was that instead of now calling our people to the street to rally, now political parties will look for designated areas where they will converge with their supporters, sending messages. And again, Samuel, we all know that the politicians are using these rallies to block the thinking process of our people. They go to those rallies drunk, and young people are there. They do not listen to any message. They are just there, a form of a jamboree, dancing and singing with no message, absolutely. And we think that elections are electionary periods are not meant for dancing and singing. These are periods that are meant for deep reflection and an evaluation of our political actors. Those who have been there, what did they do? Those who are there now, what are they doing? And those who intend to come there, who have never been there, what is new that they have that is different from those who have been there and those who are there now? Those are the messages we expect. And not to call our people to the street and then you distract their attention, dancing and singing here and there, absolutely no message, and our people will not have the opportunity to sit down and think and then evaluate their political actors. We've danced enough in this country. I think it's enough. Let us begin to think seriously about our electioneering processes.
You talk about the rights of citizens. So what measures are being taken to ensure that the ban on political rallies does not infringe on the rights of citizens to freedom of expression and assembly?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This was a comparative analysis. We look at the rights that they are claiming, those who are proponents of those street rallies, the rights they were talking about being violated. And then we look at the rights of other people they were violating. And then we did some comparative analysis, which one outweighs the other. When they were coming out with their street rallies, you will notice that the schools were closed, market people will not go to the market, even the offices, people will go to offices in a very fast form. All of that because people were fearful of suffering collateral damage because of the likelihood of confrontation between these political parties. And if you, in the exercise of your right, definitely that right should be premised on your observance of the rights of others. But if in the process of enjoying your own rights, then you are violating with reckless abandon the rights of other people, then the law should come in to checkmate you.
How will the ban be enforced, and what penalties will be imposed for non-compliance, Lawyer Bangura?
In fact, that was the other option I told them. I gave them. Aside from us discussing the advantages and disadvantages of street rallies, there was also the issue of the new Political Parties Act number 25 of 2022. Most of those conducts people were complaining about when these political parties called their supporters to the street, all of those conducts are now proscribed. And then you will notice that the conduct, they have not only prescribed those conducts, they have also prescribed penalties and sanctions for political parties who conduct themselves in those manners. And lately there was an instance where I had to find the APC and then caution the SLPP. And both of them did not take kindly to that. So I needed to have a dialogue launch with them to explain to them what the act says. You understand? And there was also this very annoying, behavior of the political parties. They will call these young people to the street, and when they fall foul of the law and they are arrested, they disown them. They dissociate themselves. And when people misconduct themselves and the police, in the exercise of their mandate, they come in to restore order, people will accuse the police. Oh, they were high-handed, they acted beyond. The action they took was not commensurate to what the political party. So, to save everybody, all of those discourse, let us just stop this. And Samuel, you will notice that, street rallies are now more or less peculiarities to Sierra Leone. They are not happening anywhere, even in the sub-region. Nigeria, they just had their election. We never saw street rallies there. People campaign in town hall meetings. They go to designated areas. Why do we keep this kind of conduct in this country? They are not happening anywhere. And aside from the internal threats these rallies are posing to the public peace, public morality, and public safety, you think about even externalities. The world we live in, I mean, you have a lot of organized crimes, terrorists everywhere. Thankfully, we do not have that kind of problem here. But that does not mean that we should be complacent. This is why all the other countries, even the people that we are copying these democratic practices, they no longer have street rallies. You don't have that in America, you don't have that in London. Because they know that aside from the internal threat, there are external threats as well. And the safety, the state has the right to preserve itself. So all of those considerations were raised.
Are there mechanisms in place to address concerns that might come up from the political parties with the implementation or enforcement of this ban?
Oh, definitely the APC and the SLPP in particular, they raised those concerns. Some of the concerns they raised were that,
I think, unfortunately, I think we've lost contact with Lawyer Bangura, but we'll also try to establish the link there again with him. So when we have him, we would continue the conversation with him. The show is AYV on Sunday, and tonight we're looking at the ban on political rallies by the Political Parties Regulation Commission. And on my panel, I have Reverend Jibril Akagbo from the National Commission for Democracy. I have Ali Conte from the Opposition All People's Congress Party, and I have Salu Gombulango from the Sierra Leone People's Party discussing this issue. So Ali, you were responding, and you've had the chairman of the Political Parties Regulation Commission, Lawyer Abdullahi Bangura, saying the decision was unanimous. The APC supported it.
You know, that is why, I mean, it's really unfortunate that we participated. As I said, we are represented by no less persons but the National Secretary General and Dr. Richard Ponte, who are charged with that mandate to engage with the Political Parties Regulation Commission.
Ali, forgive me. Let me just round up with the chairman of the commission. Lawyer Bangura, welcome again.
Thank you very much, Samuel. So as I was saying, respecting those concerns they raised, the action point that was agreed on is that the commission, both the two electoral commissions, the electoral management body, the ECSL and PPRC, we are to meet with the security sector actors so that we'll draw up the guidelines as to how the membership and supporters of political parties should conduct themselves while going to those rallies and coming from those rallies. And we also expect the goodwill of the political party. I mean, this question keeps coming up. The APC also agreed. I mean, everything that happened in that consultative meeting was recorded. But because we have not had any official denial from the party itself, these are just bits and pieces from other corners, we have decided not to respond. But everybody that spoke in that meeting is on tape.
Bangura, just quickly, the APC is represented here tonight, and the APC is saying they were consulted, they objected to the decision of the ban, and they are in no way in support. They didn't agree at all. And they said the Secretary General...
Who is in the studio representing the APC?
Ali Conte is in the studio.
He was not at the meeting.
He said the Secretary General represented the party at the meeting, but the Secretary General clearly told them that they...
His precise words were, we also do not want to see people perpetrating lawlessness, and therefore we are not averse. But our concern is, how will this be implemented, I mean, fairly, without allowing one party to rally, and when the other party does that, I mean, you come after them. You understand? So he had concern, but he did say that he's not averse. We have the tape. But as I said, until we get the official denial, then we'll come out with the evidence for the public to judge. I mean, some of these things, I don't know. But this is not about us. It's not about the commission. It's not about anybody. This is about Saloon. I mean, what is the essence of all of those gatherings they were having? And as I said, why is it that it's only in Sierra Leone that this is happening? I will challenge anybody to show me an example of any other country where people will call supporters to the streets during electionary period to dance and sing. And at the end of the day, when they do so and the people misconduct themselves, they are quick at saying, even when I find them, they've taken me to court, that those people who are singing, they are not members of the APC and that they were not heard. So you see some of these things, I mean, it's difficult. But let us, one, begin to accept what we did. But as I said, when we have the official denial, they make it official, then we'll provide the evidence for the public to judge. That's why when we call meetings, everything that happens there is on tape.
Just before we round off this conversation with you, Lawyer Bangura, what assurances would you want to give these political parties and Sierra Leoneans that at the end of the day, the enforcement of this ban will be fair and square?
Lawyer Bangura will not give any assurance to anybody. This is about all of us. Everybody has to give an assurance, and everybody has to put hands on deck to ensure that this election is about issues, and our people will not be frightened away from the electioneering process by people misconducting themselves with reckless abandon. So it is not me giving assurance. It is everybody that is concerned with the electionary period. The political parties, the CSO, everybody concerned, all the EMBs. All of us have to put hands on deck and ensure that this is successful. So it's not me that is to assure the public. All we can do as a commission, when we see problem, we'll bring it up to the fore. And when we bring the problem to the fore, we make it consultative. We just did not come out as a commission and said we are putting a ban on state rallies. That's why we call a meeting. And we throw the issue to all the political parties, and everybody had his own say. So if we are to implement what we agreed on, it should be the business of everybody that was in that meeting and everybody that has to do with elections to come together. Let us for once think as Sierra Leoneans and consider the safety of this country.
Just quick.
Now, they're the very politicians, because of their utterances over the years, they've made the politics very toxic. They've made politics very toxic. Their ethno-regional, rhetorics, their tribal slurs, and the hate speech, and very intemperate languages they've been peddling on social media. They've all rendered the politics of this country very toxic. So all of us have a responsibility to ensure that we diffuse those tensions and create an enabling environment for electoral management bodies to do their work.
Finally, I'm sure you are not oblivious of what opposition political parties are accusing the PPRC of. So the question is, how tough and positioned is the PPRC to undertake its mandate, especially with the new with its new mandate as a regulatory commission?
That's why they had the option, Samuel. They had the option that we either ban the rallies, or in the alternative, if you choose to maintain those rallies, you should be prepared to hold up for anything that happens in those rallies. When you as a political party, you call out your supporters in the street, if anything happens, then you should know that there are not sanctions prescribed and you should be prepared to own up. So there are two options. It's either to maintain the rallies and then get your supporters to abide by the law, or in the alternative, if you cannot contain your supporters when you call them to the street, then you should be prepared to own up to anything that will happen. And they chose the latter, that no. Instead, let us ban the rallies and let us rally in designated areas. You're talking about right of assembly and right of... Assembly can be in anywhere. We have not infringed on anybody's right of assembly. That is why when you gather in a designated area, you have assembled. You've associated. So, the right they are talking about is the right about dancing with very rude songs and very uncouth conduct from their supporters. That's what they are complaining about. But nobody has infringed on anybody's right to assemble and associate. You assemble in a designated area, that's assembly. What we think should not happen is to let our people to dance all the time, and then they will not have time to think and evaluate these politicians, what they have done and what they intend to do.
All right, thank you very much, Lawyer Abdullahi Bangura, for accepting to speak to us in such a short notice. Thank you very much, Lawyer Bangura. That was the chairman of the Political Parties Regulation Commission, Lawyer Abdullahi Bangura, speaking to us there on the ban. Ali, you were responding.
Yes, thank you very much once again, and I want to appreciate the chairman. We are talking about the rights, to freedom of assembly. It is also enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the General Assembly of the United Nations. That's Article 20, that everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly. I think singing and dancing, expressing your views about the failures of the manifesto promises of a government is nothing unruly. What we are saying here as a political party is that the chairman of the PPRC, the Regulation Commission for Political Parties, is very clear here, referencing the Tonko Limba issue, the Constituency 110 issue, and then also we are seeing other highly placed members in society going out there doing their thank you tours, expressing hate speeches against members of a certain political parties. Our fear here is the PPRC and other government institutions that are charged with a mandate to regulate the conduct of political parties has never been able to call to book or to caution some of these highly placed individuals in society about the way they go about their time tutor or the speeches that they make. Sierra Leone is a country of law-abiding citizens, and we as the APC has always tried to go to abide by the law. Constituency 110, we saw the perpetrators. They were never brought to book, right? And Tonko Limba, elections, we know the perpetrators. These were not even public rallies. They were not street rallies. These were events, elections events, where an individual, a 14-year-old boy was killed and nothing was done. No investigations. If they were done, we've not been able to get the report of those investigations. And also where we are concerned is about how if a particular area has been designated for political parties to send their manifesto or to air out their elections activities to be voted for. They said their concern is how we should convey our supporters to those designations, going to and from those designations, there lies the lacuna. As I said in my opening statement, during the peace conference at Bintumani, I saw SLPP youth impersonating as APC, putting on APC t-shirt. One thing that they failed to do was having the APC ghetto youth printed in the coat of arms.
So to avoid all of those mix-up, those crises in the system, is that not why this ban should be welcomed?
It is against the fundamental principles of human rights of peaceful assembly. Let the PPRC do its job. Let the Sierra Leone police do its job. Designate a particular area, a particular route where political parties should use when going to their areas. And the laws are already there. When you happen to go for public or street rallies, you go to the Sierra Leone police. There are always undertakings that you make as a political party.
None of the political parties, not the APC, not the SLPP, was willing to, according to the chairman, because that was on the table also as an alternative. That okay, you want to go on with the political rally, fine, but you will take responsibility in case of any incident of violence or mishaps or mayhem being caused. But you did not go for it.
But there lies the problem of failing to take responsibility. What is the responsibility of the Sierra Leone police? Their role is to ensure that the rallies, street rallies, are being manned by police, ensuring that any intruders or troubleshooters or trouble causers should be kept at bay. I think we've been seeing that. I'm just from one of these West African countries. Political rallies, Sierra Leone is part of the global village now. You don't even need to travel to Nigeria to happen to see when political rallies are being held. So we are calling on the Sierra Leone police, as young as we are, when we were about to undertake public activities at Port Loko and Makeni, we went for police clearances. And when you go for these police clearances, there are undertakings that you make on behalf of your political party. Right. That is why after our convention, we were so magnanimous as a political party that yes, we appreciated the Sierra Leone police. We conducted a 3-day political convention and no incidences of violence was reported. So we are calling on the PPRC and other regulatory agencies that please let us don't try to curtail the rights enshrined in the Constitution of Sierra Leone for freedom of peaceful assembly.
Salu, so apparently the SLPP was not okay with the ban.
Thank you very much, Samuel. I think Ali was granted enough time and he could not still convince the audience with respect to their denial with the option of having alternatives. First, we have to ask a question. How do we reconcile the benefits of street rallies, if any, with the corresponding damages or minuses?
Has there been any benefit?
Well, yes, like certainly people will say it has always given opportunity for politicians to assemble, their supporters, and some will even presume by, their calculations that we have the chance to
and
win
from the
elections.
Submissions here, it appears that the SLPP would love these rallies to go on.
So
because you accepted it reservations.
Yes, I listened keenly when the chairman was making his note. Yes, indeed, Reverend said, the SLPP, of course, we said we have reservation.
Right.
And when you say reservation, it means you have not given an overall endorsement, an overall agreement to something.
There are concerns.
So, yes.
And
because to us, it is still a work in progress. You heard the chairman said they are working on guidelines, regulations. Matter of fact, I know that the implications generally of the ban means fundamentally Sierra Leone, or we the citizens have accepted the core values or provisions of our constitution. You know, the chairman analyzed the relevance, and my brother here, Ali, have, you know, referenced a number of clauses or sections in our constitution. Now, chapter 3 has sections 16 to 27. We call them protective provisions, where freedom of assembly, the right to expression, and the rest of it. But mind you, there is a prelude to that provision, to those provisions. Section 15. Section 15 is very, very clear that in as much we as citizens are all entitled, we must equally bear the responsibility to protect those rights of others. Further, 28 now comes in as a closure to speak to these protective provisions. He made reference to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you know, bringing in the United Nations, of course. Like I made reference earlier, the SLPP, unlike APC, is a party of tolerance and compliance. Article 23 of our Constitution says we always recognize existing laws, right? So the implications, we further say, we are resolving for the least evil. The least evil to us is the ban on street rallies. So we go for the alternatives. Perchance, the guidelines will now give the instructions, the directives, how we as political parties will conduct ourselves. And the implication for that means we've grown through our electoral culture. You know, when you know, play the interview across, you know, the views were some saying that because it has survived over time, it means we must continue with it.
Right.
Yes, but that itself begs the question that Sierra Leone is a state that is ready to grow.
Well, and that view is so different from the view of the political parties, including the APC and the SLPP.
Well, the APC...
Except that the facade being presented to the public.
The APC, well, I don't want to say it's a facade. Perhaps it's coming from you.
No, for what I'm trying to say, yes.
The APC, Ali is here representing.
Right.
And he was not properly briefed. You know, he said the Secretary General and Dr. Richard Conte attended.
Right.
So, matter of fact, what they submitted, we are recorded. So if Ali was properly briefed, or if the publicity team he's representing would have that opportune time to tell him that A, B, and C were the issues. Their only contention with that submission was, how do we get our supporters to these designated areas? And I was looking forward to that. He has, you know, deviated. That was the argument, right? And further, the implication is to say, we are very conscious as citizens that we are now looking forward to the state first principle. Mind you, we have a Sierra Leone after the elections. Do we think we afford to risk, you know, in fact, there are times when we go into elections or we engage around electoral activities, we even take the risk to, you know, to reverse some of the gains we've made. You know, properties are destroyed. You know, streets are, of course, unwarranted traffic, like the area of school-going children, innocent Sierra-Leoneans.
Disrupting daily activity.
Exactly. And this is, again, a violation of the ground norm, the 1991 Constitution, Section 15, I've just said that. That in as much Sections 16 to 27 are giving us rights, those rights are equally coming with an obligation, which is provided for in Section 15, that we must ensure we protect the rights of others. This is what we're saying. And over and above all, we are saying that the implication further, we mean that our electoral culture will influence other nations to admire Sierra Leone. You had a chairman who is on record to give a challenge that if any one of us seated can reference or, you know, point a country across Africa where the nature of, you know, street rallies or what Ali and others are asking for
just Kenya and Nigeria
are done. And you see, the APC is synonymous to violence. When he was speaking, he made the effort to, you know, link violence or, you know, minuses of electoral, you know, compliance with the SLPP. But he could not.
Impersonating.
Yes. Now, let me just clarify that point. You see, 2007, let's get a flashback. We were here when the APC won the elections. Our party headquarters. We know what happened. Let me go into the history. 2012, when we won the elections, of course, we were denied. We know the corresponding ramifications. Our national PRO was, you know, imprisoned, even the women's leader. The constituency 110 referenced. Imagine the day was assigned to the APC, and allegedly, members of the APC attacked our aspirants. The following day, the SLPP would have been opportune to do the same rally. We are banned. Imagine if SLPP had to come out, our supporters. You know how massive we have, you know, supporters in the Western area. Then that was not going to end properly. Right. And recently, what happened? They went, Makini, they elected their flag bearer. We've done ours before them. It was a peaceful one. Remember, the flag bearer of the SLPP is the incumbent president. We had ours. There was nothing like a welcome program organized in Freetown to welcome His Excellency, the President, Dr. Julius Madabio. And recently at the Bintumani, where the running mate, the Honorable Vice President, was endorsed. We did not rally around Freetown saying we are going to welcome him. But what they did, imagine at 12 o'clock, the APC, you know, operatives have to, you know, send a message that they were coming from Makeni. Let me conclude this. Let me conclude this. That they were coming, Ali, I was so quiet. Yes, so they communicated that they were coming and that in fact, they wanted to compel the state to halt all other operations in the interest of welcoming the flag bearer. Only God knows the intent behind that. And at the end, what happened? Their National Secretary General, you know, came up with, you know, disruptive allegations. On one hand, he was saying this what happened. On the other hand, it was another story. Right. So these inconsistencies really do not find way.
Gentlemen, okay.
To
let me quickly let me quickly take some messages.
I think I still have
our viewers.
I would love to give you more time.
I know. I know the time card. The time card does not sit. It does not sit with me. Well, let's continue quickly. Samadu from Freetown is saying political rallies are simply incorporating African practice in the political process. The practice is similar to lantern parades, mask and unmask society, devil celebration, etc. Like festivals in other parts of Africa, and its diaspora in the Caribbean, UK, USA, and other parts of the world. That's from Samadu in Freetown. We have so many messages. I'm going to struggle to go through the ones that really speak to the topic we're discussing here tonight, because like I mentioned, so many of them. But here is what Dr. Freddie Lawson in the UK is saying. There seems to be a misunderstanding of the meaning of democratic adherence, in him also to go and verify. Admiral Wellock is saying since 2018, APC has kicked against all good things. Denied speaker election, denied commissions of inquiry, denied taking part in census, denied boundary delimitations, denied PR systems, now denying street rallies. Bashir Luxin Mustafa is saying electorate should not rely on information gotten from one source, but should also seek other sources for more information and better understanding towards accepting a political party and its candidates. Rallies are not solutions to our problems, Samuel. We should think out of the box. I'm going to take at most 3 more messages. We have many of them, guys. Come what may, the APC would do rallies, period. But Amasi Emmanuel Gadi is saying, Dean Fadeba saying street rallies should be banned. Lonta, we're not in the 90s, 80s, or 70s. Ibrahim M. Kroma is saying, Salo is doing well. APC as a party should know the relevance of these restrictions. It's to ensure we have a peaceful political atmosphere. Over the years, people have used rallies to cause havoc and other violence-related activities. Bernard Kebi saying, rally, or really what happened in 2018. And Mohamed Kroma is saying the law also provides that for the good of all, certain issues must be put on hold. Gentlemen, I have to hold the messages there. We have many of them, hundreds of them there, but definitely time is not our best friend, so we cannot go through all of them. We do apologize and for not taking all of your messages, but we do value your input because always we solicit them to help shape the conversations here. So, Reverend, quickly, with these thoughts, with these comments that I've just gone through from our viewers, if we are now to lay the tracks for a path that will lead to us consolidating our democracy, improve our electoral and political culture, where citizens would have opportunities to then question and make necessary input into how the state should be governed at the political level, at the political parties level. How should we go about laying those tracks?
It might appear as if we are calling for a very tall order, but let's make some efforts to offer solutions to the challenges that we are faced with. We must come into politics with a mindset to serve in the best interest of the people. When that becomes a foundation, you're going to do everything to ensure you don't offend the people, or rather make sure that the people are treated with utmost respect. But what has happened over the years, speaking about Sierra Leone as the example, is that the politicians, they just see the ordinary people as, well, let me do my best to get the power. It does not matter how I get it. But when we inject integrity and good conscience into politics, it is going to help to lay a thorough foundation for every political party. Samuel, the unfortunate situation in our country is that it all depends on, it's now a matter of just the choice that you make. But when it comes to creating all of the problems, they trust each other because they know what they do to each other. And even how they handle state institutions. That is where the problem is. And that is why if SLPP is in opposition, they will condemn every state institution. If APC goes back to opposition, they will do the same. So let's build our state institutions manned by Sierra Leoneans and ensure that we give them the liberty to carry out what they're supposed to do based on their mandate and not to be influenced by others from above. These two parties, they can second-guess each other. So that is why the issue of trust is actually missing. And we have to build that trust if we are to make progress as a nation. And around elections, we must take away the issue of levity, because elections are actually meant to give us what we call entrance legitimacy. If we miss them, governance is a waste of time, because we're still going to have the same fight. So I use this platform to appeal to both APC and SLPP. Help us to ensure the problems of this country are fixed. We're not looking at aliens from different planets. We're all Sierra Leoneans. We know the Sierra Leonean problem. Let us make conscious efforts to sit together and dialogue and give this country a path that not just for now, but even posterity is going to appreciate us in this current generation.
Ali, what would the alternative be if you are to provide one for the PPRC? So the political rallies you're crying against would go on. Are there alternatives from the APC that you want to put forward?
Yes, of course. Our representatives during that meeting asked salient questions. I mean, just as what the chairman was saying, that, I mean, a designated area for a political party rally. And I was waiting, because those that bear the greatest responsibilities, the government in power. And I was also waiting for my brother from the SLPP to provide alternatives, because I will have also chipped in, but he has never been able. He's been accusing the APC. But what we are saying here is, Samuel, let the Sierra Leone police, together with the Electoral Commission Sierra Leone and the PPRC, let them come up with a level playing field wherein, if they are able to provide the resources for political parties, right, doing this designated areas to control, because we've been saying this, provide designated routes wherein, if we are supposed to go to Achuga Mini Stadium, I mean, and people are asking about designated areas. Mind you, when these rallies are being, the campaign calendars are normally released by the Electoral Commission. It is being specified, the areas for rallies are designated in these campaign calendars, right? If the APC will be having a rally in Freetown, the SLPP and other political parties will be somewhere in the country. This is how it has normally been. But you cannot have all APC supporters, when the APC is designated for a rally in Freetown, you cannot have all APC supporters coming from the eastern part, to go to Achuga Stadium. You'll have APC supporters in Freetown going to Achuga Stadium. Like I say, it's just an assumption, where they will meet after the messages, and they will disperse, going back to their places. So if the Electoral Commission, together with other state institutions that are enhancing democracy, should provide the resources, I mean, ask the people to converge in a particular designation, provide buses where you can take them to the rally, then after the rally, then you take them back into those designations. Those resources are not there. They do not, and they will not even attempt that. The APC, while we are in power, we are able to give assistance to political parties, at the time, to enhance, their democratic participation. In doing the SLPP and the PPRC, instead of enhancing the participation of political parties, we are seeing now that only 3 political parties are functional to contest the 2023 elections, thereby, limiting the space for citizens to participate. This is why we are seeing all of these laws coming up, right? Let's have a proper system wherein, if we are supposed to have rallies, let the Sierra Leone police do its work.
So you're putting the responsibility on the Sierra Leone police? Yeah,
let the Sierra Leone police do its work in consultation with NEC and the PPRC.
But you are aware the Sierra Leone police, as a force, do not have the required manpower to provide adequate security?
Yes, of course. The Sierra Leone police do not need to have the 10,000 police to secure a particular political party rally. What we are saying here is, let the law be executed fairly.
How? I'm asking how, in the sense, when the APC is announced, tomorrow, the 3rd of April, the APC is going to rally Freetown, and you have the Sierra Leone police to help with security. Yes. But then there are always bad elements in all of the rallies we've witnessed, in all of the rallies we've covered. And when some of those bad elements we think are picked out, it has always come out that the political parties would then blame the police, that, oh, the police is responsible for this, we were processing peacefully, and at the end of the day, the police intervened, and we took all our supporters, and they retaliated, and all of that. So why would you still blame the Sierra Leone police in this situation?
Yeah, we saw what happened after our convention in McKinney, right? While the flag bearer elect was processing through the streets of McKinney, there was a particular spot where a particular song was being played, even though that particular song or set that was played was not being hired by the APC, but these were just people, supporters that were having their own time. But at the end of the day, during the PPRC, the APC was held responsible. We accepted it, and a fine was imposed, and we paid. And likewise for the SLPP, while we are at Calabar Town, the SLPP supporters were gathered at their entire base. They were saying all sorts of derogatory chanting against the APC. Then there we saw what was done. Nothing. No arrests were made. Let the Sierra Leone police be more proactive that if the APC is supposed to rally, these are the routes that they are to use. Then at the same time, let's advise Sierra Leoneans, the rights of our citizens should not be trampled upon. Let political parties take responsibility. Appeal to your supporters that this particular day is for the APC. If you are SLPP, don't put on your SLPP attire because that particular day is designated for the APC. Mind you, when you go out there, just go stand and be as a spectator. We should be more responsible. This is what Doc is talking here about. That yes, in as much as we have rights, we should also have responsibilities. But I mean, the SLPP will not accept that one. And this is what we are saying. Let the Sierra Leone police be more proactive, in managing and regulating the activities of political parties. And we want to see more statements coming from the Political Parties Registration Commission, especially with regards to hate speech. Right? We've written a lot of press releases with regards to senior stakeholders of a certain political parties, even calling on a particular set of people in the country not to allow the APC to carry out its activities. And we've not yet seen any statement from the PPRC condemning that and the ONS. We are calling on them. If they want us to continue to
let's hear from Salu. So now, Salu, the state institutions are being accused of being biased, being siding with the ruling SLPP. And so if the Sierra Leone police is one of those institutions, Ali feels at this point is actually being selective because they would intervene in incidents of the opposition, and when it's the ruling party, no arrest, nothing is being done. How would SLPP as a party now promise or assure or put things in place that there are mechanisms, although it's the SLPP in governance, but the laws must be implemented fair and square?
Yeah, thank you very much, Samuel. You see, it is untimely for my brother to register defeat. You see, discussing, laws, discussing elections will come with a lot of commitments. And because the APC is overwhelmed, which is why all they are speaking to is appeal to pity. And as a matter of fact, this is just a call for all citizens. For us, the SLPP, we will not only talk and speak to our supporters. Remember, President Julius Maada Bio was not only elected by supporters of the SLPP, but Sierra Leoneans across the divide, which is why Section 13 of our national constitution is instructive that as citizens, we have to ensure we comply to state laws. And whilst we are reading the messages, I think the only exception to this section came from an APC supporter who said even if the PPRC, the Regulatory Commission, bring out guidelines to regulate campaigns or rallies, they will still go against those guidelines. That they don't mind, come what may, APC will do whatever they desire to do. And when Reverend was talking, he asked a very, very sensitive question, that political parties should have an agenda to speak to peace and national cohesion. These are the things we should be discussing. For us as a political party, yes, we are on record, which is why we had the Bintu Manifi, which Ali repeatedly we say APC was never represented. But APC was represented.
By Alpha Khan.
Yes, Alpha Khan, of course. No, Alpha Khan represented APC. And away from Bintu Manifi, we now have the National Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. This, again, is an extension of the desire of the SLPP to promote peace and national cohesion. Of course, tolerance, compliance, and human capital development. These are the messages that we should be speaking to. Citizens are listening. Like you say, 84 days to the polls. Around governance, the institutions we are saying how SLPP went short. Remember, SLPP as a political party could be discussed as a party in governance and outside governance. Prior to 2018, before we occupied the corridors of power, the SLPP, of course, you can accept to that fact that we really promoted the peace, tolerance of citizens. And as a matter of fact, we know oppositions equally constitute part of governance, which is why you operate a shadow government and you must always be very constructive in your criticisms. So these are the things we look forward to from the APC, but they are not doing it. How could Ali come? All he has to discuss here is they are not going to accept, they are not going to go by it, they want street rallies. Only God knows what they intend to achieve.
All right.
And because we've done so much, check around. The scorecard can speak to it. The fact is clear. Now you can boast of Sierra Leone, on the highlight about sports, gender, infrastructure.
I hope we can.
You understand?
For this
and all of these,
you the politicians,
all of these are credit we can give to President Julius Maada Bio, which is why it's 4 days from now, citizens will come to re-elect him.
Let me ask quickly, in a minute, Salu, what's that message of reassurance, of peace and tranquility to your supporters and to every Sierra Leonean, especially with this ban in place now, for them to keep calm and follow due process and abide by the law?
Good. As a political party, we want to appeal to all Sierra Leoneans to be patient. Like I said earlier, there is a Sierra Leone after the polls. I equally want to call on our politicians across the aisle that we must ensure that we comply to the guidelines which we look forward to from the PPRC. Ali have emphasized the role of the Sierra Leone police, which is why even in that conference where all 17 political parties were represented, the Sierra Leone police equally was represented. The media was represented, development partners to the PPRC. So it was a national discourse. And we are saying, as a political party, we are re-echoing our commitment to tolerance. We are re-echoing and calling all citizens that let's be law-abiding, let's be respectful, let's conduct our political engagement with civility.
Right.
And comes 24th June, we go to the polls and elect the right team.
All right.
President Julius Maada Bio. President Julius Maada Bio.
Ali, you have a minute to send a message of peace to the people of Sierra Leone and your supporters, irrespective of the ban.
Yeah, our message as a political party, the APC, the party that is known for development and that will form the next government come June 24, 2023 under Dr. Samura Kamara, is we are calling on state institutions that are responsible for the regulation of the activity of political parties that please let the law, when it is being prescribed, let it be implemented squarely, Let them give undue advantages to the incumbents in governance. We are saying let political parties be allowed after the publication of campaign timetable, let the political parties be allowed to table out their political plans. This is what we are saying. Then we are calling on our supporters, and we've always been that the APC has been very, very much peaceful, accepting and below abiding in whatever the calls that the APC party has been making, because we've been provoked, on numerous occasions, and we're still calling our supporters that please let us continue to be law abiding, that come on the 24th of June. Let us go out there and demonstrate, our dissatisfaction about a government that has said that has accomplished 103% of its manifesto promises. But when you go through all the major cities in this country, the banners are far more in places than the promises that they made. So Sierra Leoneans, APC supporters, let us be law abiding and let us continue to listen to the calls.
Let's comply.
So Reverend, I would love for you to send a message to the politicians, because at the end of the day, in as much as they are aware, but they need to be reminded that Sierra Leone is bigger than their political institutions.
That is why I would say, using this platform, that every form of hate speech, whether it's coming from APC or SLPP, we condemn it. And we also ask the politicians to play by the rules of the game. There are laws in this country. If we follow them and we apply them across the board to everybody, they will help. And I also want to say to our politicians, and even the electorate, the people of this country, put Sierra Leone first. And Samuel, with your leave, as we bring the curtain down on this program, I want us to recite the national pledge, to remind citizens about the kind of responsibility we have to this country. I don't know if you
Definitely.
Together, both the APC and SLPP here.
Right.
And join NCD, let's recite the national pledge.
Right.
After 2, 1, 2. I pledge my love and loyalty to my country, Sierra Leone. I vow to serve her faithfully at all times. I promise to defend her, honor her good name, always work for her unity, peace, freedom, and prosperity, and put her interest above all else. So help me God, so help me God.
Right.
People of Sierra Leone, that's the message from the National Commission for Democracy.
Thank you.
Sierra Leone first, and
well,
God bless you.
On that wonderful note, this is how we end tonight's program. Many thanks to those of you who watch us on AYV channel 33, those of you who watch us on DSTV on channel 399, those of you who listen to us on Radio FM 101.7, and those of you who followed us on all our different social media handles, including those of you who participated by sharing your thoughts, asked your questions on the AYV News Facebook page. The show has been AYV on Sunday. My name is Samuel Weisbanger. Until next time, take care of yourself. Have a lovely night.